Hey, welcome to the pod. I am sitting on my bedroom floor at the moment, if you are listening without the video. And it's a Saturday, and I've had such a beautiful morning. So I woke up at like 4:30. Conrad was on my couch because he had a wedding and nearby, and he needed to crash because he doesn't live like in the same area as me, but the wedding was where I am. So anyway, he's got a key to my place. I made up the couch for him, and he came over really late when I was already asleep. So I woke up in the morning to see Conrad there like a little baby angel. Oh, I just love that he feels so at home here. It makes me so happy. And then I went for a surf, and the water was so beautiful. And when I was out there, this girl named Jordan, she was so sweet. Hang on, there's something I think in my tooth. Anyway, so this chick comes up to me. I've never met her before. And she was like, hey, sorry, like I didn't want to bother you, but... And she looked a little bit nervous at first because obviously like going up to talk to a stranger is terrifying. And she was just started saying like, you know, you've made such an impact and I'm trying not to cry, and I could honestly cry right now just thinking about it, but I'm just so grateful for your podcast and the impact that it's had on my life. And I was asking her a little bit about like what she's doing and where she's at, and we had a little chat, and I just that made my day so much. Just to have someone come up to me in the water and express such heartfelt gratitude. Like, I encourage that wholeheartedly in everyone, whether it's to me or to whoever feeling grateful towards at the time, because it just made my whole day so sparkly and beautiful, and I can't stop smiling. And you know when you have like a really good orgasm, obviously this was not a sexual moment, but like, you know when you have a really good orgasm and you kind of feel like your body is just a bit like floaty and your head's a bit floaty and you feel like you're on a cloud for a moment and you're just like lightheaded. I came in and I was just smiling, like beaming all the way back from the beach to my car, and then I saw a friend and I was like, oh my God, I basically like keeled over in half smiling, just telling him about it. So Jordan, if you hear this, thank you. You are an angel and you're going to be doing everything that you want to do. You are a go-getter, it's obvious. So just keep following your heart, keep following the things that make you happy, go in the direction of what your body wants to do. And if you don't know what that is yet, just carve out the time to be still. Being still and allowing yourself time to settle down for a moment to just try different things, or even if you don't want to try new things, just journal, contemplate, just have the... just give yourself a moment to figure it out. I had no idea I was going to be podcasting and helping people in this way. This, you know what I mean? Like, this wasn't a thing. This was not in my plan. So you just never know where you're going to go. You got to give yourself a minute to feel it out. Anyway, that was amazing. Now, the next thing, so today's episode is going to be about energy protection, but I just want to answer one of the Ask Esther questions first, and then we'll get into the energy protection. Okay, so this one says, I love this. I haven't thought about the answer yet either. I'm just going to like say whatever comes out. Okay, it says, how do you know if you should let go of a relationship that is okay but not amazing? And I inquired more. I was like, is this like, have they done something bad, or is it just so-so? And she said, there's nothing wrong with the relationship. It's fine, but it's medium. It doesn't make me feel my absolute best, and I don't feel like I'm able to grow with this person. They already feel temporary. I can't put a finger on it, but nothing bad's happened yet. So my first thought that comes through is, if you're contemplating whether the friendship is for you and whether you want to be in the friendship or not, I think that is a sign in itself that maybe not. It's maybe not the friendship for you, you know? Like, when I think about the people that I've drifted away from intentionally and the people that I absolutely adore and want to keep in my life, it's such a stark, like, difference in how I feel. So the people that I adore, that I want to keep in my life, like I never contemplate whether or not they're the right friend for me. Like we always ebb and flow and we grow together, and sometimes one of us will grow without the other for a while or whatever, but there's always that love there and enough of a beautiful, strong connection that, you know, eventually we come back around onto the same page as each other after doing a little growth stint or whatever. And, you know, the connection is very deep and heartfelt, and I just can't imagine wanting to walk away from those friendships. But then when I think about the friendships that I felt lackluster in and like I couldn't be myself, I didn't feel like we got along on a deep level. I felt like most of the friendships that I've walked away from were quite like surface level, or I'd realized in time that their morals and emotional intelligence were at a very different level to mine, and you know, I cared about very different things. And so obviously when someone on like a morals and value and political level, if they're not your kind of vibe, you can't really change someone in that sense. Like it's up to them if they want to change their own views and educate themselves on things and open up their heart more or whatever, but you can't really expect someone to change. So you're better off just giving them the room to grow and creating a bit of distance in that kind of aspect. But if you get along on like most levels and it's just feeling a bit average, so-so, and it feels temporary, there's probably a lack of depth there. And I would say if you want to keep the friendship in your life, try and go a bit deeper with this person. Try to have conversations that feel a bit authentically raw and, you know, if it's safe to do so, if you trust them. Try and learn a bit more about them. I just had this feeling as well, maybe they don't ask enough questions about you. So to maybe share a bit more about yourself with the person. But also if you're like, I don't really want this person in my life and it's a bit fucking so-so and I'm just like, meh, couldn't be bothered, then your energy is a very important resource. And if you're not feeling it, like you don't need to put your energy into this person. You don't need to have bad blood. You don't need to burn any bridges or anything. But you can absolutely just sort of drift away. If the person keeps trying to heavily be in your life, you need to put up a boundary and be like, all right, I need a bit more time for myself. Thank you very much. Or if they try to make you feel bad about drifting away, just explain to them. Just be like, oh, I'm on my own journey right now and I'm just needing to do my own thing. And, you know, you don't ever want to make someone feel bad about where they're at and everything. If it doesn't align with you, that's okay. They're allowed to be wherever they are. So whichever way it feels right for you, but if you need to put up a boundary, definitely do that. So the main thing here is respect your own energy. And I thought that was a good Ask Esther question to sort of do today, because that really brings me to the whole energy protection part of the podcast. So, also, I had a special little magical fungus. I don't know how else to say it without, I don't want to get in trouble. Why would I get in trouble? I'm not going to get in trouble. Everything's okay. So I'm feeling I can't stop smiling, mostly because of what Jordan said to me, to be honest. We just can't stop smiling. And I started painting over the top of one of my pictures. I painted a picture. So I love being creative, and then just like I create for the world sometimes, like right now. And other times I'll just create for myself, and sometimes I show the world, sometimes I don't. So I got this painting and I did it and I didn't like it. Like, I love the message and I got it out and that was great, but aesthetically, and it was fine, other people liked it, but for me I was like, nah, it's not really my taste, which is hilarious. Like, I did art that wasn't even to my taste. It's so bizarre. So I'm just painting over it right now in this sky blue because I cannot get enough of blue. It was almost like, you know how your body just suddenly needs water sometimes? Like, you've obviously been a bit dehydrated and not giving yourself enough water throughout the day, and then all of a sudden you just have like the most intense thirst on the fucking planet and you have to quench it. It was like that. I was minding my own business. I like all colours. I don't have an affinity to any specific colour. I'm not one of those people that's like, make everything in my life this one thing. Well, I used to be, but I've got a lot more balance these days. Anyway, so yeah, but holy fuck, it came on like a thirst quenching pang of just needing blue. Oh my God. So I went to the store and I bought a blue hat and a blue bikini because I just had to. And now I'm painting this picture and I'm just making the base sky blue and might do some traffic lights on it. Like imagine like a really like beautiful sky blue background and then just in like the bottom left corner or something, just like the tops of traffic lights and they're on the red, obviously, because red looks amazing with blue. And the whole thing about like the message that would be in there would be to slow down because life is so fast and there's always, content coming into your brain every fucking a mile a minute. And we've got work, like jobs that we're doing all the time. So there's always input there. And, you got your family, your partner, or if you live alone, you've got like just your responsibilities and friends and your own endeavors and studies and whatever it is that you're doing that's like, filling up your day. There's just so much. And I think because we're so addicted now to moving so quickly and having so much input all the time, we don't feel okay with slowing down. Like we don't actually know how to do it without beating ourselves up thinking that we're being lazy, which is just insane. So here is your permission slip to slow the fuck down. You're not lazy. You need to be way more chill. Do less, sis. Coming from the person who does a fucking 1,000 things a day. But I also have balance. I have my stillness. I have my alone time. I have my slowness. So you can do it too. Anyway, energy protection. So this came about because one of my girlfriends called me and she'd listened to the previous episode where I answered another Ask Esther question about how to have energy even when you're in like a low period of life and like how do I maintain such a high vibe even when things are hard. And so I answered that question and I was talking about energetic boundaries and everything. And she was also one of the girls that was at the recent women's gathering where we did all of the like group frequency work and everything. And I did all the protection on the room, to just make it a really safe container for everyone to sort of become a bit more raw with both their emotions and their energy. So like, mind, body, soul, spiritually as well as physically. So I put a lot of protection around everyone and also around myself. And she's like, how do you do that? Because when you're in a container like that and you're in a place where you can you can feel it. You can feel that someone has like called in external protection, like angels and stuff and guides, and also outputting like from their own heart space, this big, beautiful sort of bubble of protection around everyone. That's like, you can fucking feel it when you're in there. You feel the safety, like you're okay. It's quite a visceral thing. It's pretty cool. And she was like, how do you do that? And I was like, huh. And so I was just talking to her about all of this and she was like, bro, put this on the podcast. And I was like, oh, okay, good idea. So here we are. I just made like a couple of dot points so that I didn't get off track. So I'll take you through those. Okie dokie. I don't know why I just got so giggly. It's so dumb. But so throughout my journey, I started with protecting my energy by putting up boundaries and everything just with other people. So like more earth side stuff. Then when I started to go into the whole spiritual awakening and everything and decided to learn about boundaries and how important they were, and especially with the work I was doing, I was suddenly doing Reiki on friends and doing a lot of energetic work, and I didn't, and portals and stuff. Like I don't want to fucking pick any negative energy and entities and stuff. I don't want any of that. I want to, no one wants that. So I've had to learn how to have boundaries, and people explain them best they can, and you're like, okay. And so I feel like it's this thing where it's like you have this knowing inside you, but you don't have the practical, like how. And then people around you were like, do this. And you're like, okay. And so you're putting this stuff together and there's always this feeling of like uncertainty, like at first. And you're like, am I doing it? Like, do I have a boundary up right now? Like, am I safe? How do I know? La, 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 la. So if you're feeling that way, totally normal. You'll get past it. Don't worry. So the first thing I wrote down was see energy as your most important currency. It's more important than money. See energy as your way to finding balance. Now, okay, so money is a form of energy. That will make sense to you later. Just have that in your mind. I've put that seed there now. Forget about it. Later on down the track, when you're in this place of like full on abundance and just like you're in the spot that I'm in now and you're like, oh my God, I can feel it. I know I'm here. You'll get it. You'll be like, oh, this is why she said money is energy. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to explain. But I also don't want you to get hung up on that, because I know that everyone needs money. We've all got to survive and everything. And, you know, I don't want you to bypass all the things that you need to do just to try and understand that the whole money is energy thing, because if you bypass all that stuff, you wouldn't authentically be there. You need to authentically be at the place. You can't just like follow a few rules and hope that everything falls into place. Like, you have to take yourself through the journey. You have to learn these things by going through it. But how do I explain it? It's the same kind of thing as like when you raise your frequency to a point of like authenticity, and you're just being like so authentic with yourself, and you have great boundaries and people just respect them because you are able to be in your heart space while having your boundaries. You trust yourself, you love yourself, you're doing all the things that you want to do, you're in this really authentic space, and you just start to get really magnetic. Like, all the people that are supposed to be in your life come in, the opportunities start to come in, the money comes in. It's like there's energy within all of these things. And when you're putting your frequency up to a place where you're like, hey, I'm now a signal, like bring it in, it will flow. So the money will flow, the people will flow, the opportunities will flow. They will come your way, and you can pluck the ones that you want. You can do whatever it is that you need to do with them, create whatever it is that you need to create, and then they will flow on again. So you'll put them back out. So it's almost like you're a filter or something. So you want all the creativity and the energy and the money and the people and the opportunities to flow your way, but you don't want to hold them stagnant with you and hang on to them too tight with fear of losing it. You're not going to lose it. Just do whatever it is that you need to do with the money or the creativity, the idea, the people, the opportunity, whatever, and then let it keep flowing. Let opportunities and people and energy flow. You don't need to be scared. You don't need to be hanging on to anything too tight. And the more you just let this stuff flow, the more it will just keep coming in, right? Like, picture yourself as a river. You are a river, and you don't want to bank up a bunch of like rocks. You don't want to become a diva and like block the dam, like build a dam and block the river flow. You don't want to do that. You want to like keep it going. So hopefully that paints a good picture. Anyway, I went off track. So your energy, think of your energy and protecting it and having boundaries with your energy as a way of finding balance. Because, you know, I was saying before, we're all really busy and there's a lot going on and there's just so much happening in life and it's all pretty hectic. Balance is something that a lot of people don't feel like they have. They don't feel like they've got enough rest, enough sort of like cup filling time as well as restful time. So like ideally we would spend our days, you know, outside majority of the time and with other people sometimes, alone sometimes, being of service to the community, like whatever it is that you can do to help someone, doing something like that, doing some chores, doing a bit of work to sort of keep, you know, laying seeds wherever you need to, creating something, being a bit creative with your hands or your mind, sitting still and meditating, being like sort of really going into a really restful state, and also doing something fun and playful where you're challenged a little bit. Maybe you're learning a new thing that you're obsessed with, having a laugh with someone, and then having, you know, dinner early and going to bed early and waking up and sleeping with the cycle of the earth and, you know, having a healthy circadian rhythm happening. So like that would be ideal, right? But like when you think about the world and your everyday life, like is it ever actually like that? Is that your day to day or your week to week? So maybe we can't fit all of that in one day. That's insane. But, you know, if you're not doing some of those things every week, what are you doing for yourself? Like, are you living a life that's yours, or are you just going through the motions because you were told that, you know, this is how to be a human alive on earth, you know? Like, what kind of life are you actually living? Start to look at that and ask yourself that. And where you can, make changes so that you can start incorporating a bit of everything in there. So the recuperation time, like the rest time, the creativity, the cup filling time where you're laughing, the time to learn something new and expand your mind and your skills and everything, and time to do something for someone with the community, and or just, you know, a small act of kindness, like Jordan today coming up and saying that really nice thing. Act of service for the day, done. You know what I mean? I'm obsessed with that. So now to be able to incorporate all these things into your week, okay, let's even be more fair and just go monthly, okay? Just try and fit some of these things in every month to start with. Like, don't be too hard on yourself. And then if you can incorporate these things in weekly, like, incredible. Because, you know, some people will be able to make these changes quite easily depending on how lucky they are with their current life and, you know, freedom with things. And other people will probably have, like, maybe a lot more steps to take and a few more challenges and hurdles to go through before they can just live a life of balance, which is insane. Like, that should just be our human right. But, you know, it's... anyway. Sometimes when I just sigh, I think about, like, all of the world's problems in one go. They just flash through my mind, and I'm like, what? No, don't focus on all of it at once, Esther. Just focus on what you can change right here, right now, and help these people. Anyway, so to be able to get yourself to a month where you can actually incorporate all that stuff, you want to incorporate boundaries into your everyday. Now, I thought I was really good at boundaries years ago, and I guess compared to, you know, teenage me, I was. And, you know, in my 20s, I had a couple of friends be like, wow, you're so good at, like, having boundaries. And I had other friends that were like, man, your boundaries are shocking. And I was like, what? That's really confusing. But now I look back and I'm like, I understand that, you know, you need to learn boundaries in so many different areas of life. And the first friend who said I had amazing boundaries, she was talking about, like, boundaries just by being honest with my friends, like with my girlfriends, and being like, oh, no, I don't really want to do that right now. Couldn't be bothered, you know, that kind of thing. Or, you know, sorry, I know I made this plan, but I don't have the energy for it anymore. I'm not going to do it. She'd be like, wow, that's so impressive. I'd be so scared to even be able to say that to someone. So she was like, wow, amazing boundary. And then I've got, you know, other friends who saw my complete lack of boundaries in relationships, and I would just let people sort of take and drain me. And they were like, where are your fucking boundaries? Like, you are not a doormat queen. Thank God for those friends. I'm very lucky. They knocked some sense into me. So yeah, there's a lot of different areas throughout your life that you need to learn to have boundaries in. So sometimes, you know, you might be like, I'm already a boundary queen, slay. And just look around, be like, all right, are there areas of my life where I have to do things that make a physical pain in my stomach? Like, is my body feeling resistance? Do I feel like having a fucking tantrum because I have to do this thing? You know, even if you're cool, calm, and collected on the outside, on the inside, like, check in with your body. And when you're in a situation where someone's, you know, maybe being like, you know, expecting too much emotionally of you, or making you feel like you can't change plans and you're kind of stuck doing the thing because you have to, because someone else's happiness is relying on your attendance, like, that's insane, by the way. Or, you know, maybe it's a work thing and you feel like you're being pushed way too hard for the money that you earn, and you need to have a chat with your boss and be like, hey, either hire someone else and keep paying me the same, or pay me more for the energy I'm outputting here. Family, you know, sometimes even with Noah, I have to say to him, like, hey, I expend so much energy in the morning just trying to get you out of bed. Like, please acknowledge this as an energetic boundary. I don't want to expend that much energy in the morning with you. I need you to set the intention of waking up before you even go to sleep. Set the intention of waking up easily in the morning. Like, stop sitting in that place of like, oh, I don't want to go to school. Oh, it's too hard to wake up, blah, blah, blah. I was like, your actions are affecting me as well, because if I don't get you up, then you're not going to go to school, and then you will drop out, and then, you know, I'm a piece of shit. So, like... So I was like, I'm not going to give up on you like that, so don't make it so fucking hard for me, please. Get out of bed. There's just lots of different areas in your life that you'll be able to protect your own energy. And it's time to start, like, really checking in with your body. And if you're like, oh, I don't really know yet what it feels like But just set the intention. That's literally what I did initially. And that sounds so easy, but you'll notice in time, like when you're reflecting and you'll be like, oh, I can actually feel in my body now, whether it's a yes or no to doing something, or if there's resistance, or if I'm feeling drained and stuff like that. And you'll be like, huh, my intention setting worked. So you can set the intention now to listen to your body and your energy levels, and you can set the intention to be able to feel in your body whether it's, whatever it is that's presented to you is a yes or a no, if you want to take up the offer, or if you want to do the thing, or if you don't. Set the intention to have the confidence to stand by your boundaries. Sometimes it's easier and other times it's quite difficult. I've had to put up boundaries in very difficult situations recently. I won't talk about it because I might talk about it in the future. It's a bit fresh right now, not for me. It's the respect for the other person. I wouldn't say their name anyway, but yeah, a bit soon. Yeah. Anyway, had to put up a hectic boundary, and sometimes it's terrifying. I wanted to vomit. And, I'm at a place already where I've been putting up boundaries now for ages, and I know my worth, I know my energy, I know my limits. I am pretty good at this stuff, and I still felt sick to my stomach, like wanted to actually puke. And I tried to talk myself out of it. I tried to, I'm not even kidding. I was like, maybe I'm just being a bitch. Maybe I'm just being maybe I'm looking at this situation all wrong. Like I literally turned it around onto myself, because I'd already done the reflection of my part. I was like, okay, here's how I'm feeling. What's my part in this? What have I done? What have they done? What boundaries of mine are they crossing? How much energy am I putting into this person, and how much am I getting back? Is this like a fair exchange of energy, or is this like a one-sided thing and I feel like I'm just leaking all of my energy out? I assessed all of that, and I still, by the time I came to the point where I need to put up a boundary with this person, I still turned it back on myself and was like, no, I'm probably just being, unreasonable or bitchy or whatever. Just give it more time. And then I felt inside me, my higher self was like, no, do this now. And I was like, fuck, all right. And I, spoke to a couple of other girlfriends, ran it by them, and they were like, no, you have to put up this boundary. And I was like, yep, okay, cool. So, it's hard. It is. But do you know what? Since I put that boundary up, and yes, my life changed a bit after having done that, which is good. I needed it to change. It changed slightly differently than I'd hoped, but not for anything bad. It was all good. And you would not believe how much more energy I have now since putting up that boundary. I didn't realize until I stopped draining my energy out into that person, I didn't realize how much of my energy was draining out. I knew I felt drained. I knew I felt I had to put a boundary up. But I honestly, looking back, I was like, whoa, I feel like I just dropped 10 kilos of luggage and started floating. That's how much more energy I had. I felt so much lighter. So, yes, boundaries, very important. Listening to your body. Is there resistance? Do you feel like something is a no? Are you betraying yourself by making yourself do things that you don't want to do? Are you doing the things that feel good? Step into the things that start to feel good. You can, and also the other thing is when you're putting up a boundary, it doesn't need to come from a place of because when you're not used to putting up boundaries, they truly can feel like you're being aggressive or whatever, and they're not. Just center yourself back into your heart space. Put yourself in that person's shoes and ask yourself, how would I want to hear this boundary if I was them? And then literally practice in your mind, practice that boundary on yourself as if you're telling it to yourself or something. And then you'll be in more of a gentle heart space, because you'll be like, okay, this is how I would want to hear this. And then you can say that boundary to them. Yeah. Anyway, I'll go on to the next thing I wrote down, my next note. Okay, it says, check in with yourself and your energy levels before saying yes. We don't need to reply immediately. So I pretty much talked about all of that, but yeah, that is so important. So when someone says, hey, do you want to come to this thing? Do you want to go get a coffee? Do you want to come to the fucking event? Do you want to la 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 la? Whatever it is, whoever it is, when someone asks you if you want to do something or if you want something or whatever, if they're asking you a question, you don't have to answer it immediately. You don't need to stand there like a stunned mullet, but you can say to them, leave it with me, I want to see how I feel about it. And if they're like, what? You can be like, yeah, I'm just going to like let it sit in my body for a little bit and see how I feel and I'll get back to you. And when you say something like that, people honestly just respect it immediately. They're like, okay, because they either don't know what to do about it because they've never heard that kind of thing before, or they pick up on what you're putting down and they're like, fuck yeah. And if anything, by having your own boundaries in that sense, you're teaching other people around you to have boundaries, because when you behave in a way that is so full of, integrity and self-respect, people can't help but want to do the same, and you rub off on them in a really positive way. So the more of us out there just taking time to listen to our bodies, the better. Okay? And the next thing is, does the presence of a person, group, place, or thing make you feel drained or icky? If so, don't go, or tell them that you can't hang until you get some more energy, or sage the thing. So I was on Marketplace. I was watching Gilmore Girls, and it's in like the later seasons where Lane's moved out into the house with the boys. And in her bedroom is this beautiful beaded like lampshade, and it's like a waterfall. It's like going around, dripping down, and it's like big, but it's small enough to be like in a bedroom. And I was like, oh my fucking God, I need a beaded lamp immediately. And I went on Marketplace, and this chick was selling 2 beaded lamps for $40. And I was like, fuck me, it's my lucky day. Like, didn't have to look for more than 2 seconds. So I went and got my beaded lamps, and they looked like they'd been in the basement for like 1,000 years, and that they were like, her great aunts or something. Like, I don't know the history of these lamps, but they were definitely not previously in use for a long time. They were so grimy, and I had to like give them a clean, and I brought them into my home, which has incredible energy. And I felt it. I was like, I was like, whatever it is on these needs to go. It was so yucky. It's like, I obviously just cleaned them so they were nice and clean. But then I got my sage, and I was like saging my lamp. And I was like, is this fucking crazy? Like, why am I saging my lamps? But it felt like it was the exact thing I needed to do. And then I've talked to a couple of girlfriends since, and they were like, no, yeah, we sage things as well. And I was like, okay, cool. So if there is an item in your home, and honestly, like after I did, I was like, phew, felt like I could breathe. So you can always sage things that have yucky energy. There's another example where one of my friends asked me to come to, I've got to be protective of, again, just like people and everything with this. I don't want to hurt anyone. So I was asked to come along to, let's say, an event. Basically, I was going to be in a room with a bunch of people. And the person facilitating the event, I know about things that they've done, and I don't like them. They are not the worst person. Like, they haven't done absolute, atrocious things, no. But also pretty fucked. And I was like, well, don't like this person. Not my vibe. Not an energy match. We do not share the same values and morals and... Yeah, so anyway, I was going to go to this thing with her, and my friend was like, come along. And I was about to get a ticket, and I froze, and I was like, why aren't I buying a ticket to this right now? Like, what's wrong with me? Why am I literally just staring at my screen? I basically went fucking cross-eyed, and like my higher self dropped in and was just like, you don't want to give this person your money. And I was like, no, I don't. And then I messaged my friend. I was like, hey, I can't go. And I was like, I really wanted to go, but I can't give that person my money. Like, I just cannot engage with them in this situation. I can't do it. And she was like, no worries, it's okay. You can probably just come for free, really. And I was like, I can't even be in the same room. Like, I cannot be in the same space as this person. My energy field is like, fucking no. And I pictured myself being in the room, and I could feel this person's energy. And I was like, nah. Ugh. And I wanted to like sage myself after tapping into their energy. I was like, yeah, get it off. So yeah, I just, and she understood. She knows that I've got good boundaries, and she was like, oh, good, babe, no worries. And, good on you for listening to yourself like that. And I was like, thank you so much. So she is an angel, and it's very important to have friends around you that aren't going to make you feel like a fuckwit for doing that. So I'm very lucky. And And yeah, I just couldn't do it. Couldn't go into that room with that person. Yuck. No, thank you. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like little things like that. Like really start to feel out your everyday life. Like get back in your body and get behind the wheel and start to ask yourself what the fuck you're doing and do you want to be doing it? And if not, then don't. Oh, yep. What else? Okay, so this is the good stuff. Well, all of it's the good stuff. It's all very important. But I mean, like this, it's not just the good stuff. This is the like protecting yourself spiritually kind of part and others as well. So I wrote down, access your heart center to form protection, visualize something for a mind-body connection. Once that is stronger, your energy and your mind and your body can work together. So, okay. This one needs a little bit of unpacking. Now we've got, all right, so this is an age-old thing to make people realize how strong the mind-body connection is. But think of a lemon right now. So picture a lemon tree. You're outside standing under the tree and a lemon has fallen to the ground and you magically have a knife in your hand and you've safely cut the lemon open. And the juice starts to like squirt out a little bit and you're like, oh, it's such a juicy lemon. And you can smell it. And even just the smell of the lemon makes your, you know, the side of your tongue and the side of your jaw start to do that sort of like tightening feeling when you're about to have something tangy. And then you're like, you just have this audacity and shove that lemon into your mouth and you like bite your teeth into it and suck on it and you're like, ooh. And whether or not you love lemon, like you still have that salivation happening, right? And like when you picture a lemon and you picture that tangy sort of, you know, you remember how tangy a lemon is, your mouth will start to salivate. Or if it doesn't start to salivate, you'll at least feel like the glands where your saliva comes from start to like, you know, do their little tingly thing. And that's just a mind-body connection. So your body has like a visceral response to just the memory of something, right? Now, this is like it's actually such a huge topic. There's so much to learn about your mind-body connection. It's not even funny. And it's fascinating and it's actually really helpful information to have because when you realize how strong it is, like you don't even say anything bad about yourself. Like you will not hear me talking shit about myself beyond just being like, oh my God, Esther, you stupid bitch, like jokingly. But even then I've tried to reel that back because I'm not stupid. I'm really intelligent. And, you know, like I don't call myself ugly. I don't point out flaws on my body. I don't do the self-deprecation thing anymore. I used to just put myself down for a laugh so I could be, you know, more accepted by the people around me instead of, you know, because I'm one of those people throughout life where people look at me sometimes and they measure themselves against me and they, you know, I'm a huge personality. So not everyone's going to like that. And sometimes I trigger something in someone else and they don't really know what to do with it and all of that. So anyway, like I used to try and just put myself down to be on someone else's level so that, you know, I just wanted them to like me instead of, having that, you know, reaction to me. But now I'm like, fuck that. I'm not ever going to betray myself like that again. I'm not going to talk shit on myself. I'm not going to put myself down to make someone else more comfortable. I'm not going to live underneath like the shade of the poppies, you know, the whole tall poppy thing. I'm going to be a tall poppy. I'm just going to fucking grow as tall as I want and help all of the other poppies around me so that we can all grow. Anyway, so back to the mind-body connection. Now, remember the whole thing about, you know, where your attention goes, your energy flows. And now remember the fact that whatever it is that you think, your body believes, right? So like you're thinking a thing, your body can have a visceral reaction to it. You think a thought, your body can literally manifest that thing. Like you have a lot of control and power over your own existence just within your own mind. Like it's insane how powerful it is. So start to really respect that power in yourself and don't just wield it willy-nilly by putting yourself down or saying things that are no good. And, you know, start to really, really respect yourself because the more respect you have for yourself, the stronger your boundaries are going to be. And that doesn't just mean with people in your physical world. This is spiritually as well. Now, so when it comes to, protection, when I first started practicing energetic and spiritual boundaries and everything, I was basically initially picturing just a light-filled bubble around myself, but it didn't come from within me. It was almost like I was like, please, someone help me. And it would just sort of form around me. And I think now I look back, I'm like, that was definitely coming from myself, like my higher self, but also I think maybe like angels or whatever at the time, just being like, oh yeah, poor sugar, here you go. And because, it felt, I would feel calm, I would feel better. And this is honestly like, I progressed through this really quickly. And I think that, you will too. The more you trust yourself, the faster I think you can get into this sort of position of spiritual boundaries. But at first I was like, oh my gosh, so I'm just going to picture a bubble around myself. That's all I can think of doing that feels, good and safe. And, doing entity work and stuff, I would, pull something off someone and, imagine that I had these like gold light gloves on protecting myself and put the thing into like a galactic dust bin or whatever that would be taken away, or hand the thing off to an angel, depending on who it is. Like Serena was teaching me this stuff. And I was like, that was kind of where I began. And then I started like, just sort of all of a sudden it switched. It wasn't like a bubble that formed around the outside of me. It became this bubble that came from me. It came from my heart space, and it was almost like my skin. It was like I could do it with my eyes open or closed, but I could see it in my mind's eye so clearly. Like my skin would just start to turn light, like white and almost bluey light would come out of me and just explode out of my heart space and fill an entire room, like my entire apartment, with light. It would just almost like a bomb going off, but of light, kind of just like mass fierce protection. And then this bubble would just be around me, and I knew it came from me, and I was like, amazing, cool. When I first started getting into this and visualizing all of this protection stuff, originally it would sort of form in my mind's eye. I would see it, but then it would almost like be like almost like a light bulb that's a bit rickety, and the light would sort of like flicker and go out, but it wasn't a light going out. It was more like the visualization would flicker and disappear, and then something else would pop into my mind. So now just with practice, because then I would just like, nope, bring it back, like call it back. Like, it doesn't matter if I get distracted and something else fills my mind. I'm just going to put myself back into that visualization and just imagine the protection bubble around me, that kind of thing, or imagine it coming from within me, whatever. And so then I've got the intention, right, of protecting myself and my surroundings and others. I've got the visualization. I've been practicing the visualization of it. And so with the intention and the visualization, then my energy will follow, right? So my energy is then working with the visual, and it's working with my intention, and I start to feel it in my body. I start to feel my energy moving into my heart space and then moving out around the rest of my body. And I get like really prickly skin, like I get goosebumps and everything, and I just go like I can feel it. I can feel the air around me. Like, not the air is in the wind, but I can feel the energy in the air around me. That took a bit of practice. It wasn't like this at first at all, but I knew I was still having the boundary. Like, I knew the boundary was still there, even though it wasn't as strong as it is now. And we've all got to start somewhere, right? So yeah, now it's at the point where if I feel something try and latch on to me, I can cast it off my body myself, kind of thing. And I can hold space. So when I was in this women's gathering, I put protection around the whole room, and I called in angels, and I kept feeling everyone's energy quite strongly. Like whenever someone was talking, I tapped into their channel without trying. It was just happening, and I was like, oh my God, and I could feel their energy really strong. My body started to shake. Each person who spoke, I was like just like rattling. And then as soon as I went into my heart space and like pictured myself, like put my consciousness in my heart, and I was like, oh, it's like this beautiful white room in here, and exploded this like bubble around myself to protect myself from everyone else's energy. Not that like I didn't need protecting from them, but just to put a boundary up because I was feeling it so viscerally. So I had this bubble around myself, and I was like, okay, amazing. And then there was like a small gap between me and everyone else energetically, like with this bubble, like a moat, if you will. And then they were all around just on the other side of the moat and also in the same bubble as me. So it was like we were all in a big bubble together, and then I was in my own little bubble individually as well. And as soon as I did that, I stopped trembling. And then if I kind of let that slip out of my mind and got too involved into the other stuff, and it's not to say that like suddenly the protection was gone or whatever, but that bubble I formed around myself, like I did, as soon as I kind of got too involved in what the person was saying, I put that boundary down, you know what I mean? I got really involved in what they were saying, and I was like, wow, and I was like living it, you know? And then I was like, Esther, boundary back up, you know? And I would put the bubble back up around myself, and I would stop trembling. So trust yourself. Trust that if you have the intention of filling yourself with light, filling the space around you with light, and putting a force field up between you and whatever else it is that you're feeling around you, whether it's just negative energy, people, anything like that, trust that it is working. Set the intention for it to be so, and visualize it happening. Even if you need to just like go to the toilet for a second, be alone, and like close your eyes until you can just like do it on the spot wherever you are. Visualize it. Your imagination is not some fake thing that, you know, doesn't exist. Whatever it is that lives in your imagination can also be a possible reality. So protect the thoughts that are flying around in your mind, for one. And two, trust your visualizations, trust your intentions. Focus your energy on protecting your boundaries and protecting your own energy field. And you will. I've got an example just before I go of being in a bar. So Hayley and I went out one night just for dinner, and then we're walking past this bar, and she was like, stuck her head in and was like, oh, and I stuck my head in after her, and she was like, do you wanna? And I was like, yep, let's go. And we went in, and we're like, we're not we don't go to bars much. It's not like a all the time thing. We were really just planning on going straight home, but the energy in there was actually amazing. It felt fun. It just felt so good. It didn't feel like it, I don't know, it had good flow. And so we're in there, we're having a good time, having a laugh, like having a bit of a dance and everything, and sitting at this table again. And then this chick came over, and she was like drunk, but not hectic, but she just started like spewing out what her vent onto me. Like she just found me in a room and just started venting. Like, you know, didn't assess for a minute whether my energy, you know, I know that everyone's got a different level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness and awareness of others and everything. And obviously alcohol will dampen all of those skills in someone as well. But like if I was to go up to someone, I just don't think I would vent first up. You know, I would suss out the interaction first. And then be like, you know, would this be like a co-vent? Does this person also want to vent about a similar thing? Like, or am I just vomiting on someone right now, you know? So, you know, no hate, bless her socks. But she just came over and was just like, my friend just keeps going after these shitty guys and fucking rah, rah, rah. And I was like, oh, preach, sis. Like, it sucks when that happens, when you can see that the guy is shitty and your friend just keeps going after them and you're like, what are you doing? Anyway, so but I hadn't said anything yet. She was literally just like blah, 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 blah for ages. And I didn't mind the interaction. I was like quite fine with it. She had a good vibe herself, but like I was also just like, whoa, like she was sitting really close to me. Like she came up to where I was and was leaning right in. Her face was really close to my face. Her energy was like in my energy field. I could feel everything, and I was like, oh, Nelly. So I started visualizing this light bubble coming out from from my heart and surrounding myself. And my intention was to push her back, because I was like, you know, if she doesn't go back, if this doesn't work, I'll just ask her, be like, hey babe, like fucking, can you just like sit next to me instead of literally sharing saliva with me? We weren't making out, obviously. She was just so close to my face. Yeah, so anyway, I was like, you know, it was also a fun experiment for me, because I was like, perfect, like I want to see what actually happens here. And so I'm visualizing this bubble, and I'm in my head, I was literally like internally like move back, like go back, like sit down, go back and sit down. And I was like, my intentions were to push her with my energy away from me, not to leave me alone. I was, again, happy to have the interaction, but at a distance. And I shit you not, as like every time I pushed with my energy a bit further and channeled my energy into that place and was just like push, she went a little bit further back. And it took probably 30 seconds. Literally, like, she'd spent a while there in my face, didn't look like she had any intention of moving, and then just started to like go back. And within the space of like 30 seconds, she had leant back from me heaps, sat down in the chair, changed her fucking tune too, and was just like, so anyway, like, what are you doing here? And I was like, wow, that is just so wild. Like, that just happened in front of my face. And I don't know, it just gave me a lot more confidence as well in my own boundaries. So it's a pretty fun thing. Definitely practice that. But don't get discouraged if you don't get the same reaction, because again, all of this shit takes so much practice. Like, I protect my energy all the time. So yeah, I'm probably going to leave it there, feeling a bit done. But can you, if you have something you want to ask me that you want me to answer in Ask Esther, can you please, you can comment on the actual podcast on this one or any of them, really. I always get the notification, or you can email me, or you can DM me on Instagram. I don't think I'll do the Instagram DM option for long, because as I keep growing and expanding, that will become too hard to maintain. So, but right now that's completely fine. But there will come a time when I probably just ask you to do it via email or something. I don't know. It's crazy because I'm just growing so rapidly. I have to try and keep up with my own fucking movements. So I'm trying to use like my foresight and also stay exactly where I am, be present, but also be aware of the future at the same time. It's wild. So anyway, I love answering your questions. I fucking love it. Please ask away, whatever you feel like. And thank you again for everything. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the encouragement. Thank you for saying beautiful things to me. Thank you for your messages. Thank you for opening up to me. Thanks for letting me into your brain and your heart. And I'm just so appreciative. I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you. And I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, YouTube, whatever. Everything's always in my show notes if you want to give me a follow on any of the things, and please share it with someone that you know. Okay, love you, bye.